Yeah, so I played the new Lords of the Fallen game since day one of release. As a big soulslike fan, of course I wouldn't miss out this huge release this year. I've got a couple things to say about it, so I decided to write down all my points in a Google Doc, and now I'm just gonna make a video talking about how I felt throughout playing the game. Based off the title, you may or may not know which way I'm leaning towards right now, but yeah. I was pretty hype about this game, seeing the trailer, as everybody would. The game looks amazing, the graphics at least, and all the reviews are great, but reviews aren't very reliable nowadays. But with the release of Lies of P recently being a huge successful Souls-like game, I can't say my hopes went up. I played Lies of P as well and I really fucking enjoyed it, but this game is complicated. Alright, yes, it does look as nice as advertised. But the one big problem is most of us, you and I, we're probably not gonna be able to see this game at its maximum quality. Reason being, the game runs like shit. I'm sorry, it is what it is. On day one of release, at least, the game was goddamn terribly optimized. I had to put all my settings to lowest and put my DLSS to highest performance in order to run the game at a solid like 90 to 100 FPS, which isn't that great considering the other games I've played. To be fair, they did push a lot of patches out. Credit to the dev team, they pushed out like one patch a day for like 2 weeks straight while I was playing at least. But yeah, personally, I think despite it being very unoptimized, the game was playable at least for single player mode. The thing is, this game heavily advertised its co-op system, talking about how great the seamless co-op is, and I'm gonna tell you, day one co-op was absolute dog shit. I don't want to shit on the developers, but it's just unacceptable how bad it was on day one, okay? Emphasis on day one, because within 1 week of release, the patches made co-op low-key playable. But in the first day, I played with my friend who pre-ordered the game with me on day one of release, and it was so bad. The input lag was very, very noticeable. I personally wouldn't play the game. I wouldn't have pre-ordered it if I knew the co-op was this bad. And seamless co-op is not really what they advertise it to be as well. You would think, oh, something similar to Remnant 2's co-op or Remnant 1's co-op. I mean, they're the same thing. But yeah, that's what I thought when they advertised seamless co-op. But it's not really what it seems. There's a bunch of issues with co-op I have. For example, there's no cross-progression. I mean, Remnant 2 doesn't really have cross-progression, but at least you pick up all the items that your friends pick up, right? You can progress at the same rate. In this game, if two of you only play in one world throughout, like you and your friend only decide to play on one of your worlds throughout the whole game, the guy who's joining the world is going to be severely underleveled because you gain half as much experience, souls, Virgo, whatever you call it, and you don't even pick up all the items that they do. You only pick up mob drops, which is like just consumable healing items and stuff like that. You don't pick up the weapons, you don't pick up the armor, you don't pick up the spells, none of that. You don't even get boss souls or anything like that. So yeah, it's pretty terrible. In order to have a good playthrough, you're gonna have to go back and forth between both worlds. So yeah, I didn't really like that part of the co-op. I think it could be improved upon. I keep saying Remnant 2. Yes, Remnant series is what I would feel is the best version of co-op in any Souls-like game, and I think they could learn from that. And as far as story goes, I think the game, it does its job. The main story isn't anything crazy. Apparently, it's a continuation from the 2014 version of the game. This is not a remake, this is a continuation. But I don't really know what happened in that game. I know the gist of it. You like stop some god, and the same god is in this game. Yeah, it's basic fantasy shit. Yeah, it's alright. I think it's pretty cool. Nothing crazy, as I said. I think the side stories though are pretty interesting. But there's literally no way in hell you do any of the side stories in your first playthrough, because goddamn, they just disappear. The NPCs just go everywhere and I have no fucking clue where they are. I think in my first playthrough, the only NPC quest I managed to do was the blacksmith one, because it's the most obvious shit. You just have to find some items for him. But every other NPC quest requires you to do some like special thing at a special time, and just miss them. And one of the NPCs even require you to summon for the NPC quest to work, which is dumb. I hate how this is what Dark Souls 2 did. I hate how you have to summon NPCs for you to do their quest line. That's dumb. I want to play the game without summoning NPCs. But yeah, enough ranting about that. Story, it's pretty good. 3 main endings. By 3 main, I mean there's only 3 endings for now. 2 of them are pretty easy to figure out. The basic one, which is Radiant ending, which I think is the default one, and the Inferno ending. These 2 are very easy to figure out to do. Umbro ending, a bit more specific route that you take to get it. I think it's a bit more weird. I personally couldn't do it without googling it. Yeah, but I think you could figure it out if you really wanted to. Umbro ending is what would be my favorite ending. It's the most unique one. Yep. Then moving on. Besides story, let's talk about a bit of the gameplay. Enemy density in this game, it's dumb. It's fucking stupid. I hate it so much. I know you've probably seen a lot of people online talk about enemy density, but you have no clue. This game just thinks difficulty equals spamming enemies, which is so stupid. I don't understand, dude. Like, the whole point of Souls games is to take it slow, 1v1 fight mobs, and every mob does a lot of damage. It can kill you. In this game, they try to kill you two different ways. One, they spam you with mobs to kill you, and two, they try and push you off the edge every single fucking time. And let me just tell you a quick tip before you play this game. If you see a corner that you can turn, and you can't see behind it, chances are there's a mob over there waiting to push you off. Just be careful, alright? Yeah. I died at least like 4 times off the edge by being pushed. I mean, at least this game has a system where if you die for the first time in the normal world, you go back to the Umbro dimension, which is like a unique mechanic that everybody who is interested in this game probably knows about. But yeah, you go to the Umbro dimension and you can come back for a second life. But I think it's just dumb that you lose a life just because trying to push you off. I mean, I guess it's part of the experience. Speaking of the Umbro dimension, the dual world system in this game, I've heard people say that it gets boring fast, but personally, I'm someone who has played through this game 4 times and I got all the achievements. I think the Umbro world is pretty fun. It adds to the exploration because one of my favorite parts of soulslike games is exploration, and I don't think it's boring to have these. I know people say it gets old, but at least for me, I thought it was really fun all the way. I really like the fact that you can get pulled into the Umbro dimension by mobs if you use the lamp to see through it. I thought that was really cool. The first time I got pulled through, I was so fucking scared. I got jump scared. But yeah, I thought it's really cool. I enjoyed the Umbro dimension thing. I don't think it gets old. I think it's a person-to-person thing. Personally, I liked it. I know why people won't like it, because people trying to 100% run items, get all the items, it might be getting annoying. Here's a tip for you, alright? Items that appear in the real world will appear in Umbro. Items that appear in Umbro might not appear in the real world. So if you want to go for 100% run of all items, just try and take your risk and play in Umbro the whole time. Although saying that, you can't exactly play it the whole time in Umbro because there's a timer, and if it gets too high, this crazy mini boss that takes like 0 damage and kills you in 3 hits appears, and you can't even heal when it's here. But yeah, if you like the challenge, go for it. I would say, personally, after my first run, my second, third, and fourth run, I played in Umbro the whole time, only switching back to reset the timer once in a while. Yeah, I thought it worked. It wasn't that hard. And also, people have been really comparing the parrying sound to Lies of P and saying how it's not satisfying. I mean, I could see that point, but personally, I don't think it's a big problem. I thought the parry sound was fine. The parrying system is fine. Taking damage that's recoverable despite perfect parry, it's a little bit weird to me, but I'll allow it. It's alright. It's not the worst thing. But another thing is, because of that system, right? I think heavy weapons are way worse than fast weapons, because most of the time you can just parry and block and use a fast hitting weapon to get all your HP back, and the boss fights are really easy with that. But if you use a heavy weapon, there's a chance that while trying to get HP back, you get hit again and you lose all your grey health. So yeah, I think they need to balance it a little bit. I know they've been putting out a bunch of balance patches recently, so they might have already solved this issue. I haven't really been catching up the patches ever since I beat the game. But yeah, besides that, I think the magic system in this game is done pretty well. There are 3 main schools of magic in this game, just like Dark Souls. It's Radiance, Umbro, Inferno. Inferno is Inferno from Dark Souls as well. Radiance is basically incantations, and Umbro is just sorceries. Quite straightforward. But I think in terms of the variation of spells in this game, I personally like it more. I felt that in this game, having a mix of spell and physical attack was the ideal playthrough, and it actually fits well. Whereas in like Dark Souls, I feel like using spells just is a waste of time. And I also like the way how they handle the spells, instead of like having limited number of charges or like having to scroll through the spells like in Elden Ring. It's just like one button collates to one spell, and each catalyst have different number of spell slots. I like this system a lot. The spells were a little bit overpowered, at least in the beginning patches. As I said, there's been more patches since then. I think they've nerfed the spells quite a bit, but at least when I played this game, the spells were goddamn broken, alright? If you want to blitz through a boss, just bring a bunch of mana healing items and bring your spells, especially the one spell you get from the first boss in the game, the first major boss, the Piatas. blessing reflection or whatever the hell it's called. It's too overpowered in my opinion. But yeah, it's fun. It's good. I really enjoyed it. It's the first Souls game where I started off with a spell class and ended off with playing the same spell class again. And I also ended up playing all the different spells. So yeah, generally the spells were pretty good. I think it's done pretty well. Besides that, the world itself, really cool. Is it as interconnected as Dark Souls 1? No, not really. People compare Dark Souls 1 just because some late game areas connect back to the hub and early game areas, but that's not really what made Dark Souls 1 good. I can go on and on about why Dark Souls 1 map is good, but yeah. I will compare this game's map to like, I would say Dark Souls 2 maybe. Yeah, I see a lot of people compare this game to Dark Souls 2. I think it is quite similar in terms of the whole game itself and the map design. But yeah, I think it's good. It's a really good improvement. I prefer this game's map to Lies of P because I prefer interconnected maps. What do you want me to say? But yeah, let's see what next. Yeah, replayability. Yes, this game has quite decent replayability, meaning it doesn't really get old. Okay, no, that's not how you say it. I feel okay, it does get old, but there is incentive to replay because there are 4 hidden classes, 3 if you bought the deluxe version. And in order to get these classes, you have to get different endings and do specific NPC quests. And there are some NPC quests that you can't do the same playthrough. So I guess in that sense, there are replayability. But personally, after my second playthrough, my third and fourth, fighting through all the bosses again just felt like a chore. Running through the areas just felt like a chore. I just ran through all the mobs. I didn't kill any single one of them. It's just not worth it to kill them. And you run like really fast, so you can just run through all of them. But yeah, it wasn't that fun to replay after a while. Hopefully, they fix the enemy density and maybe make some weapons more viable. I know all weapons are usable, but usable and fun is two very different things, right? Yeah. I don't want to play through the area anymore. In my first playthrough, I cleared every area. My second, third playthrough, even my second playthrough, I just ran. It's just not fun to fight areas with mobs being spammed in your face. And another issue I had in my fourth playthrough is there's limited inventory space. I didn't even fucking notice, but there is limited inventory space. And this is the dumbest shit ever, alright? Let me tell you, there was a specific NPC quest that I couldn't do because my inventory was maxed out and I didn't get the NPC item. And I had to do another fucking character just to do it. It's so fucking dumb. Like, I don't know why there's limited inventory space. I know it's a very minor issue, but I feel like in Souls-like games, people, especially hoarders like me, we want to collect everything. We don't want to have limited inventory space. Like, come on. Just give us unlimited inventory space. It's not that much to ask. Yeah. That's my major complaint. One of my major complaints is limited inventory space. Please make it unlimited. I beg. Yeah. Besides that, I think I've given out most of my opinions about this game. It was pretty fun for the first playthrough, I feel. Unless maybe I'm just on copium, but I think it's pretty fun. But 100% clearing this game is not it. In the process of trying to 100% clear this game, meaning getting every achievement, every ending, every class, I got burned out. Like, crazy burned out. For the first time in my life, I dreaded playing games. When I'm on Steam, I just didn't want to touch any of my games after I finished this game. I just wanted to do nothing. Because the achievements in these games are kind of crazy. You have to collect all items, like all weapons, all armor, all rings, or trinkets. It's just very troublesome, I feel. Like, I know in Dark Souls, they also ask you to do the same thing, but at least they don't ask you to collect every single goddamn item in the game, right? Like, I like playing through games to 100% them, but this just broke me, okay? For like a week straight, I just logged on just to slog through the same thing over and over again, fight through the same bosses, run through the same areas. I'm not gonna bother fighting them again since I already beat them. I run through them, I end up dying because I fuck up a single movement area. It's just not it. 100% in this game, I wouldn't recommend it to anybody unless you're like a huge completionist. I think the perfect amount of times to play this game is about 2 times maybe. Once solo to experience it by yourself and once co-op with your friends. Personally, I think right now, maybe you should play your first playthrough co-op because the enemy density of this game makes this game feel more like a co-op game with a single player mode instead of a single player game with a co-op mode, if you know what I mean. The number of enemies put in each area is meant for 2 players. It's not meant for 1 player. But yeah, this game, completing it made me hate games for like 2 weeks, and now I'm back to playing again. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this game. I think it's not as bad as people make it out to be online. I know there's lots of terrible reviews, lots of terrible like opinions. Okay, wait, not terrible opinions. People whose opinion is that this game is a terrible game. I don't think so. This game is pretty good. Of course, if you compare the Lies of P, which is really good, this might seem a little bit not as great, but I think as a Souls-like game in general, it's pretty fun. If you're a Souls-like fan, give it a try. I think you'll like it. If you're not really a Souls-like fan and you want to play a really, really good game, this might not be it for you, because I wouldn't say this is like an incredible game. It's a pretty fun Souls-like game, but that's about all there is to it. So yeah. Is it worth the pre-order? Maybe. Honestly, not really. I wouldn't pre-order this game if I knew these problems were gonna be here. But I still think the devs deserve credit for trying to fix everything as fast as possible. And they've been listening a lot to the community opinions as well. A lot of their patches are based off what we've been feedbacking to them. For example, they're trying to work on enemy density right now. And also they've already fixed their New Game Plus system. The previously New Game Plus, there was no checkpoints, no like permanent checkpoints, only temporary ones, and that pissed a lot of achievement hunters like myself off. So I'm glad they fixed that as well. The devs are listening, which is a great sign for the future of this game. I would say if you don't have the game yet, maybe wait a bit longer, maybe another month or two where this game is fully balanced. I think as of right now, it's alright, but it could still be improved on further. There's still a lot of changes ongoing. But overall, it's not a bad game. I think it's pretty fun. I would play it again, but maybe not on release. I would play it like when there's a sale. So yeah, that's all I have to say about it. See ya.